What does freedom sound like? Is it the rustling of the leaves in the wind? The bustling noise of a bar on a Friday night? Or maybe it's the tranquility of a Sunday afternoon? The meaning of freedom is different to each person, but nonetheless, everyone wants to be free, or at least be as close to that state of freeness as possible. To me, music is another channel where we can see a glimpse of that freedom. A good song will paint another world and trigger memories and emotions that blends in with the chords and the lyrics. Music allows you to be free from all the noise and expectations of society, really just living in the moment and being really yourself and just feeling what you're experiencing without the interruptions or attachments to other things, ideals, in that few minutes of the song. A good song is like a mirror, reflecting back your past and future dreams and everything that you want to become and don't want to be. It's an introspection of the self and this intimate discussion with the self that could only be done by detaching the bindings and being freed. But even music has its own roadblocks from truly being detached and truly being free. And this is where earphones come in, or the tool or channel which music is played through. Now most if not all the IEMs I've heard and reviewed have some sort of flaws which gets in the way of that immersion. There's always seems to be a distraction. Maybe it's the bright treble, the nasally vocals, the lack of mid-bass, or too much mid-bass. But either way, there always seems to be a chain that kind of binds onto you, or a noise that's firmly attached and refrains the listener from reaching that true free state. The closest I've been in reaching that freeness is with the OG EJ07s, but even the EJs have its flaws. Don't get me wrong, it's pretty much perfect with the right song, but on certain tracks, because the scaling is so good and you're just like cranking the shit out of them, this makes the vocal gain and the 1.5K on the vocals a bit too forward on certain songs, which can be a little bit shouty, a little bit jarring, and kind of takes you out of that immersion. Sure, you can turn it down, but that defeats the whole point. Now, the storm on the other hand is very different. When trying to reach that glimpse of freedom, I want you guys to imagine our attachments and distractions as a chaotic hurricane, destroying everything in sight, creating things that bind onto us and pull us down from reaching that free state. Every IEM will have that storm to various degrees. Maybe it's a big hurricane like KZ, a small thunderstorm like the Variations, or a light breeze like the EJ07s. But every IEM will have some sort of quirks that takes you out of that immersion. But the storm doesn't. Contrary to its name, in all of the chaos of the hurricane, the subatomic storm would be the eye of the storm. No distractions or attachments that would affect the music, but not boring either. The storm simply allows the sound to be free in its original form, free from tuning imperfections, natural, effortless, and tranquil like the eye of a storm. It cuts off the distractions that attaches onto you, which breaks the immersion, and it fully allows the listener to reach a state of introspection and free state with the song. Almost like you're having a conversation with the singer or the instrument, just fully and completely immersed in the music, living in that brief few minutes and free from everything else. That's why I believe the storm is the best IEM in the world, not because it's the most resolving or the most technical, which it is in my opinion. It's the best I've heard so far, but because it fulfills what music is trying to do, which is in my opinion take us on that journey and into a state of freedom. Now all that praise aside, the storm does have one major issue. It's $5,000, which is not accessible for the vast majority of people, and it's the reason why it's so thought after as a rare collector's piece. Now, are these worth $5,000 for regular audiophiles? Hell no. If we're talking about price to performance, the diminishing returns are astronomical. It's the worst value-wise if we're strictly talking about, resolution and quote-unquote tech. Yes, it's the best in terms of like resolution, separation, imaging, best that I have heard. Slightly better than even the U12Ts and the Kineza 12. But for $250, the Kineza 4 gets you like 80% there, and for $1,000, the Monarch Mark III gets you like 95% there. So the Storm is definitely a, I guess, luxury IEM, or whatever you want to put it. The sound is one of a kind, or 1 out of 50 kinds. The intangibles are very hard to measure. This is the only IEM I've heard that takes you into that free state, away from all the, I guess, worldly human distractions, and you just kind of like melt and become one with the music. It's almost impossible, and I don't know how to calculate that in terms of money. Like how do you put a number on something like freedom and immersion, because the Storm definitely offers something no other IEMs have done, which gives it, I guess, free reign to price it itself like however it wants. But before we move on, this video is sponsored by you guys. You guys know the drill. I buy most of the stuff I review to try and stay unbiased as possible, but I don't have infinite amount of money, so I do need help from you guys in order to buy more sets to review. So if you found my videos, guys, review, comments, replies to be helpful, feel free to support me as a channel membership. It's only $5 a month, and I do giveaways there. I'm going to be giving away a planar next, but back to the video. But Jay, the graph looks like Arlong's teeth. You're kind of right, but the reason why it's not like peaky and like sharp and just like not smooth sounding is because the peaks are very small. They're not like huge peaks and dips, and an IEM that is too small, or not too small, sorry, too smooth, will just sound too boring and not very musical. For example, the Nova with the foam tips sound very good, very smooth, but you know, I just don't feel anything when I listen to them. Whereas the Storm follows like a similar curve. Like the gain area is very different, but like the upper mids is still like Harman downward sloping kind of thing with like a boost in the treble. And the reason why it works is because of these smaller peaks that still adds that dynamic contrast and nuance, like kind of like a pop, or more like color, a little bit of like color to the sound, but without sounding like overly harsh, sharp, fatiguing. The still scale is very good, still decently smooth, because the peaks aren't like super huge. Let me put it this way: if I'm comfortable with my finances and I have like $5,000 lying around, you know, and I want to treat myself to something, then I would buy the Storm. Now personally, I kind of can buy the Storm, it's doable for me, but I still wouldn't get it because it's $5,000 for IEMs, right? And I already got to hear it, so that kind of defeats the whole, like, I guess, the mysteriousness around the IEM, because I actually got to listen to it. Now, of course, not everyone can demo these, so if you really want to, you know, you got spare cash lying around and you want to hear, in my opinion, the best IEM in the world, go for it. For the rest of you guys, stay away from these. You don't need this. You're fine with all the other stuff. And it also kind of varies depending on how you listen to music and, you know, what the point of music is for you. You know, for example, if you're just here to have fun, you know, jam out, your library is more J-pop, K-pop, pop, EDM, then you're pretty much set with something like the Hype 4 or even the Zigat Cinco Tres. Like, if you don't care about all this free state, self-introspection, takes you on a journey kind of vibe thing, then yeah, you don't need the Storm, nor is the Storm necessarily for you. Likewise, if you use IEMs as background for work, studying, you know, working out, then really you shouldn't be spending more than $300. I think you'd be happy with the LM, the Nova, or the Cinco Tres. They are all great all-rounders for those use cases, and you're not gonna need anything more than those. Also, if you only want bass, like bass head, you listen to a lot of, like, you know, hip-hop, you want a lot of the bass, then the Storm is also not for you. It has very good bass for BA. Actually, like, it sounds like a DD. The bass is just very good, but the mount is not enough. So for those guys, go check out the bass head guide for that. So really, the Storm is very specific in choosing its listeners. Even me, like, I would fit the listener or the demographic the Storm is going for, but $5,000 is just like a lot. Maybe if I kept these a little longer, I might probably convince myself to like try to buy them, but yeah, I'm giving these back to my friend. I'm not gonna risk it. But that aside, these are the best IEMs I've heard so far, you know, to my own personal preference, because again, everybody has their own personal preferences. Amazing experience. I am so happy I was able to hear this. Shout out to Guy for sending these in. But I hope this review was different, was helpful, was insightful, whatever you want to call it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see everyone in the next one. Shout out to Jeff Young, RawX Cat, Dom Q, Gatamino Baldo, Star Buccaneers, Joel Pink, YPR Buttocks, Discal Scaldus, B_Urac, Mystic Spoon Attack, Cyborg, Oh Really, Walker Standard, User _YT_158, Ernest, Contain Guava Juice Gains, Patrick McKenzie, and Bell Sale Kill. Thank you guys so much for the support, and I'll see everyone in the next one.